So like I had been saying in the previous video, the intention today was to do a modification to this left-hand foot peg hanger and gear shift shaft, etc. before I installed it. But the materials that I had been expecting to arrive this week didn't arrive. So I'm just going to fit it as it is for the time being and do something probably much more exciting, and that is something that I have been looking forward to doing for quite a while, since I removed the engine of this bike and completely rebuilt it. And anybody that has been following the series will have seen all of those various updates. And so my intention today is to put the fluids in and fire this engine up for the first time since its rebuild. So that's the plan, guys. Stay tuned. All right, so this is the engine oil I'm going to be using now. I know everybody has their own ideas, and there's 1,000 different oils that you can use, and some say this, that, and the other, you know. But anyway, this is the oil that I'm going to be using here. And for a completely dry engine, which is certainly what this one is 3.5 liters. So let's get that in, and then it'll be the coolant after that. Okay. I know there's a sight glass and everything, and with this ZZR 1200 clutch cover on here, the sight glass, as I've mentioned many times, is bigger and higher than the normal stock ZRX 1200 clutch casing where the sight glass is situated in that. But we'll not be worried about any of that. I'm just going by the manual at 3.5 liters in a completely dry engine, which is what will be going in. Second liter. Of course, it's at this point here you're wondering, hope I checked that drain bung there. Made sure that was tight before I poured all this in. Right, third liter. And the last half. There it is. Just wondering where that'll put that on the sight glass, but I'm not too worried about it anyway. As I say, you seen it going in. That's the last measure there. Okay, so I guess I can take these two signs off. No oil, no oil, doesn't apply anymore. All right. Other thing I want to do is I want to put that there back to 0, and you know, for the trip meter, so that whenever I start using this bike, I can see how many miles I've put on it and make a note of the total miles there. 23,566 for after, you know, it's run in for a few runs and then change the oil again. Okay guys, let's just check to see what this sight glass looks like. Well, there it is. It's sort of just below the half mark. Or sorry, it's just below the full mark, as you can see there. But normally, you know, whenever you would be at the oil level for these bikes, running a ZZR 1200 clutch cover and the sight glass, that's normally where I would have the oil level at anyway. You wouldn't have it right to the, you know, right to the full mark like you would do if it was a ZRX. Just sort of a bit below it there. So that's spot on. Next thing is now, we'll just put the coolant in. Okay, so here's the coolant I'm going to be using here. And the amount it says in the manual, total amount is 3 litres. And that's with a reserve tank level, including at the full level, including radiator and engine. So let's get that fitted now. So just before we fill it, just make sure that this is the drain screw here on the pipe that comes from the water pump. Just make sure that that's tight. Yeah, so it is. And this one here also, this is the bleed screw here. This one, where are we? This one here, this is the bleed screw. So we've got to make sure that that is tight for the moment. I just sort of nipped it up. So there it is. Okay. Now obviously I'll be loosening that to bleed it. But so that's that. We're ready to rock. Okay, so the coolant is filled through here. And the idea is to fill it right to the brim and pour it in slowly, so that to minimize the amount of air bubbles. So and fill it right to the very brim. And I'll also loosen that wee bleed nipple there, because, you know, sometimes air gets trapped there. So I think the best thing to do is just loosen that there off. If necessary, when it comes to time, I might take it off completely. But anyway, it'll be the same deal. Just decant it into a container and measuring container, and just pour it in. Okay, so rather than pour it in full litre goes, I'll just pour it in half litre goes, because there's less likelihood of it spilling and you can pour it in slower. So let's do that. And it'll be 6 of these. Now obviously at times during this here, I'll squeeze the coolant hoses that are going to the radiator and going down to the metal coolant pipes, etc. Just to sort of dispel any air that there might be, and just proceed along the way. So anyway, that was 500, or half a litre, 500 milliliters, 6 of those to go in. That's one done. Okay. This is 2. So this will be 1 litre in. I mean, not very exciting to look at, but these things need to be done correctly and properly. Otherwise, you'll have problems down the line and you'll wonder where they came from. But anyway, that's 2. I'll not bore you with pouring the rest in, so I'll just do them all now. Okay, so here's the coolant overflow tank at the full mark, and the filler cap here up at the thermostat housing, etc., filled to capacity. It actually took slightly more than 3 litres. It took 3 meters, 3.2 meters, or 3.2 litres. So I actually filled this. I put 3 litres in total, and I thought, you know, it's not just filled yet. So I filled it up to another 500 milliliters. You can't really see that very well at all. Let's see. Can you see that? Can you see that now? Terrible the way it's focusing there. But anyway, I filled it up. That would have been 3.5 litres up to there. But I just poured in another, what, 200 milliliters. And that's what has taken to fill it. So I'll just bleed it here at the water pump, and just make sure that there's no air bubbles in it at all, and we'll go from there. Okay, so here's a bleed screw here, and I've poked a wee bit of kitchen roll in around that there while I slacken that off to bleed it. Now, obviously, you know, when the bike started, I have to you know, let it go through a couple of heat cycles, and then maybe do that again just to make sure that all the air's out of it, etc. Maybe do the same up at the thermostat as well. But I'll just slacken that there off a second just to make sure. Right, and then, yeah, I just heard a wee bit of bubbling going on up there, up at the thermostat. I'll do it again. Yeah, you can see it coming out there. Right, okay, just nip that up again. There it is. See that residue on the paper towel? So that was that. I'll let you see how much that has dropped up at the thermostat. Do you see how much that has dropped there now, since I just slackened that off to let that wee bit of air out? So you need to top that up again. All right, I just put an RV drop in. Now, not that much that it comes out over the top, but I'll take that out there, and then I can maybe pour that in carefully and have a wee look, gauge it a bit more. But there you go, it's taking more than you think, isn't it? Maybe call it quits at that until this bike has gone through a couple of cycles there. I mean, I can squeeze that hose a wee bit there, but I'll not bother. We'll leave it at that, and I'll let you see how much this is actually taken up to now. So there you go. We're down to, there's 100 ml. So I have, as I say, three litres, and then I fill this to another 500, and there's the amount I've put in there. So there's 1, 2, 3. Say I have put 350 milliliters in over and above the 3 litres that the manual stated. All right, and that hasn't gone through a heat cycle yet to see. Okay. All right, so the next, while that's all settling there, so the next thing I'm going to stick in is the battery. Now, I just checked it there, and it's it looks like it's up to the mark, you know, but I'm going to put it in and put the Optimate on it for a wee while anyway, just to sort of double check that it's 100%. Okay, so that's the battery all in and hooked up. There's the wee top, bracket and that, you know, that holds it. I've it hooked up to the Optimate here, which is just giving it a last little boost. And while I'm waiting on that, doing that, I think I will bleed the rear brake caliper on the clutch sleeve cylinder. So let's do the both of those, and then we'll hook up the carbs and get this thing started. So I just took off the top of the clutch master cylinder, and look at the grime in there. Look at that. So that needs completely cleaned out. Just shows you. I'll clean that out first before I do anything. Okay guys, so I'll do the clutch sleeve cylinder. There's my .4 fluid. I'm using this, which is excellent. You know, it's a Sealy brake fluid or clutch fluid syringe, and purpose made for the job. I've got my little 8mm spanner on there, ready to go. Let's do this. All right, just slacken that and just suck that out until there's no bubbles in the line anymore. Just keep an eye on the reservoir up there, that it's all still above the line, and just nip that up there. And then just keep the pressure on that before you take that off there. That way it doesn't spill everywhere. That should be it. Yeah, simple as that. Just make sure you give that there a wipe, a cloth or a piece of kitchen roll. And that's it then. Just put that wee cover back on. Dust cover. That's her done, guys. That's it there. Okay. And then this next. Right. And then the cover. The two wee screws, and that's you. Simple as that. I'll do the back brake next, and then start this bike. Right, just give it a wee wipe there. Set out brake fluid there. Once it touches anything at all, it makes a heck of a mess, you know. But that's her, and you know, the clutch lever, that's working perfect. All right, guys. It's the same deal with the rear brake one. You know, as I say, you just take that out there, top it up, bleed it down at the caliper, and away you go.